You mentioned that you wouldn't really identify yourself as somebody within the red pill or manosphere. You even called it the mano swamp.
The Mano Swamp, yeah.
Mano swamp. What do you see going wrong, I guess, in the online space when it comes to men leading other men? I see a lot of really dangerous and destructive content out there. In your opinion, where do you think some of these content creators are going wrong, and what should be some of the signs and flags that men should look for when they're seeking advice online?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff because anybody online can hold out to the public that they're something that they're not. They can act as if, for example. And I kind of got drawn into the manosphere at some point, 2017 or 18 or so. I had a very popular channel. I mean, my channel name's Entrepreneurs and Cars. It has nothing to do with pickup artistry, dating, or any of those things. It was kind of always was and still is a self development, like a self improvement sort of lifestyle thing. But because a lot of the conversations I was having were sort of tied into getting better results with women, a lot of the manosphere type of creators would sort of collab with me or want to collab with me, or I'd be interested in a book that I would have come across, for example, and want to talk to the author. But what I learned over my time dealing with these guys is that most of them are not good men, and they're not good at being men. They've got some good information. They've got some answers to some common problems that guys struggle with. But I can tell you right now, you would not want to have any of these guys sitting at a table with your kids over a Thanksgiving dinner. They've got a very, very peppered past. And, I can get into some examples if you'd like, but they've done some nefarious things that you wouldn't be proud of if you knew about them. And you'd want to keep some distance from those characters, which is why I separated myself from that space a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's great. You said that most of the guys online here are not good men and or not good at being men. Can you share what your opinion is of a good man, and how can a man become good at being a man?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's, by the way, credit to Jack Donovan. He's a great guy and he's written some good books, The Way of Men, Becoming a Barbarian.
Yeah, we had Jack on a few months back. Yeah, Jack is great.
I take a lot of the cues from his work, and it's a lot of the stuff that I adopt and use in my own community and the guys that I deal with. But to me, a good man that's good at being a man is a masculine man. He's strong, he's virtuous, he's competent, he's courageous. He's also the kind of guy that's a good friend, right? Like, one of the problems that you'll run into with the Mano Swamp is that, like, a good friend to me is somebody that will protect your back when somebody's talking shit about you, but they'll talk shit to your face, right? Like, they'll bust your chops, they'll break your balls and make fun of you. You have some jokes face to face. But if anything ever happens when you're not in the room and somebody's, trying to run you up the flagpole or make up stuff about you, they got your back, right? So that's one of the core competencies, that I look for: guys that are solid, guys that aren't incompetent, guys that are able to make it rain and make things happen. There's a lot of components, I think, that sort of pile into what makes a good man that is also good at being a man. And, one of the areas that I would also include in that is they're definitely unplugged, right? Like, they're not one of these plebs that sort of sleepwalks through life and it's like, happy wife, happy life. Or, okay, well, if the government says that I got to go take this experimental thing that they just cooked up in 3 months because Bill Gates is all about it, let's all go do it. Like, having some critical thought about the way that things actually work, right? And of course, putting yourself first, because as a guy, if you put yourself first, then you can also lead your family too. You can lead your kids, you can lead the woman that's in your life as well.
Yeah, I love that, man. I've always looked at myself as not a jokester, but when I'm close with guys, and I tell guys all the time, like, if I'm riffing on you, like in public or when we're together, it's like because I genuinely do care about you, and I would like to try to maybe identify myself as somebody that would have their back, though. Like, I'm gonna pick on you in front. I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna challenge you to become better, whether we're in the gym, whether we're out playing sports, or we're just having a good time with the guys. It's like I'm gonna push you here a little bit, but just like you said, like if you're not there and things are kind of being said against you, like I would want to say that I would be the one that would kind of show up and defend you to the best of my abilities here. So, do you think I've heard you talk a lot about media? You go back and kind of sitcoms. I've heard you kind of break down, some of the old sitcoms that I think you and I grew up on, where they were kind of making men look out to be weak, right? It was always the fumbling idiot. Would you also say that Hollywood or media has kind of idolized this lone wolf mentality, and that is maybe due, and that's leading to why we have so many guys that kind of live this lone wolf life today?
Yeah, what's that movie with Keanu Reeves? There's a series. Was it Jack Reed? No, it's
I know what you're talking about, but I mean, even like Batman, lone wolf. I mean, all these superheroes. It's like they live this lone wolf mentality. It's almost idolized and celebrated. Like, is that feeding into some of the issues that we're seeing with men in relationships and just being lone wolves in their own lives?
well, they call that the Sigma male. Like there's an entire community out there that will produce content and videos and talk about the Sigma male and how they're the lone wolf and how they're better than the alpha and they're the most impressive of all males sort of things. But the truth of the matter is that these guys are just alphas without friends, right? And your network is your net worth. And if you don't have good, competent, strong men in your network that can hold you accountable and lift you up, like a tide lifts all ships sort of thing, then you're not going to go that far in life. Sure, if you're Batman and you're a billionaire, you're Iron Man and you're a billionaire and you have all this money to buy all this cool shit. But even these guys still work with people, right? Like there's still people in their network that they work with, even though they act out as a lone wolf. So I think it's a bit of a lie. And guys, you can't separate yourself from society. Like one of the categories of guys that you see a lot of is like the guys that associate with things like men going their own way or like the black pill and stuff like that. And while I understand that there's frustrations in life and things may not always work out for you as you assume them to, you have to take a look at yourself in the mirror and take ownership for the results that you get. And you can't blame women, you can't blame society, you can't blame any of those things because you're in the driver's seat of your own life, right? So it's one of those things that bother me when guys just say, "Oh, I'm better than everybody else because I'm a Sigma male or I'm that lone wolf type of character."